All right, this was about a split yard, man. This is how the yard got split up. When I first got in the USP, everything was wide open and they split it all up. I'm gonna tell you why they split it up and how it was put in place in order to stop the violence. All right. All right, this one here is about a split yard, man. This is how the yard got split up in the USP so y'all understand what's going on. When I first got in the system, they sent me to Lewisburg. Lewisburg was like an old castle, and it was set up like, just like behind me, but it wasn't bright and all glowy looking like it's looking now. Everything was indoors, and it's like, after about 90 days of that, you start feeling like claustrophobic, like you trapped on the inside. So they had these new penitentiaries they was building where everything was on the outside, meaning you come out the unit and you walk to the kitchen, you walk to the commissary, you walk to the library, you walk to the visiting hall, and all this you walk across the compound. So it gave you a little sense of freedom that once you entered outside, you could see the sky, you could see the grass, you could smell the breeze in the air, right? So now, when I got to, Lewisburg, that's how it was on the inside. But I wanted this outdoor joint bad. So I wound up getting in it, and I wound up in ADX Supermax, where everything was underground, and claustrophobic for 5 years. I'm going to do a video about how I survived that mentally. But that was in ADX. After ADX, they shot me over there to Allenwood. When I got to Allenwood, they got all the units on the outside, right? It's like 6 units. All of them is on the outside. Now, it's 3 buildings, 2 wings off of each building. But when you come out the unit, you're right in the yard where they got the basketball court, the football field, the soccer field, the weight room over there to the right. Straight back, they had the law library. Next to that, they had the chapel. Next to that, they had the kitchen. Next to that, the CMS, and so on and so on. So you walked out the unit for everything. So that was like freedom. That was the closest I got to freedom my first 7 years in the federal system. So now we come outside and everything is moving. But the way Allenwood was set up, it wasn't too much they could do, so it was like wide open. As soon as you come out, you're around 1,200 men. So you're definitely not feeling claustrophobic, and everybody's into something. They got a poker table over here, a crap game over here, a CeeLo game over there, a basketball game over there. It felt like you was in a big park, right? Now, that was Allenwood. I'm going to take y'all on this ride. I'm going to try and make it fast. Then, they shot me out to Lum Park. We get to Lum Park, and then we back to the same old situation because the older jails was made where everything was indoors so it could keep you contained and claustrophobic feeling. So that was Lum Park. So after I leave Lum Park, they shot me over to Coleman. Coleman was set up just like Allenwood. Okay, boom. So now you get to Allenwood, and when you come out, everything is wide open. Then they shot me to Lee County. You get to Lee County, they got 3 buildings, and they got 2 floors, 4 floors stacked on top of each other, and 3 buildings. And as soon as you come out the unit, and walk down the stairs, you're walking down the cage, and then you're in the cage in the front day room, in the front, of the unit, where you can sit down, have your smoke break, got the cigarette lighters out there and all that, right? And right across from that, is the rec yard. But they had a fence separating the rec yard from each individual unit. So everything was fenced in. That's what they were starting to do. So now, from there, they sent me out to Atwater. Now, Atwater was a whole nother animal. You get to Atwater, Atwater was set up, like Coleman, where it had 2 sides. It had a north side and a south side, right? Like a left side and a right side. So you got 6 units on this side, 6 units on that side, and right in the middle of the yard, they had right in the middle of the, when you first come out the unit, you got the yard. and you got a fence separating everything. Now, they put fences up everywhere, but when you come out the unit on the left side, you can walk on the yard and get on the yard, or you could come out the right side, walk on the yard, get on the yard. And when they call recall, you're supposed to go to your respective left or right side and walk back in your unit. But when they called the move, it was a 10-minute move, so we had a chance to run across the yard, run to the gate, go out the gate on the other side, on, let's say, the right side if you live on the left side, and go check your homies over there, go get your zoom zoom wham whams, your food, your drugs, your wine, your whatever, and then you make it back to the yard before the 10-minute break. Now, from them having it like that, it got so crazy that dudes started running up in units, on the other side than where they live at to go punish somebody. In other words, somebody owe you money and they think that they live on the other side so you can't get to them. So what we did is we just ran right across the street. You know what I mean? That's what we called the street. We ran right across the street, ran up in the unit, punished them, and made it back out before the move was over. We dealing with men on men time. They already know they need to get their get back, and they knew they did something wrong for you to jump on them and bust them in the head or push the knife in them, so they didn't report it to the police. They just strapped up, got their homies, and then we went back to war. So if this is what you youngins want, continue to do what you do. I'm talking to you youngins and you elderly people that ain't been in the feds yet that think that it's sweet. Nothing sweet. So when they call the move, you could go in both, you're going from both sides into the yard. And you could cross over, and you was allowed to do that. Now, that bid was sweet, like candy, you know what I mean? Because, you come out, you had free run of the whole jail. Then so many people was going in other units on the other side of the jail that they didn't belong in. And, when they locked it down, they ran the cameras back and they found out what happened. Then they found out that the reason why all the violence was happening is because people's coming from the other side of the yard to that side of the yard. So they split it in half, Hold on. They split it in half. Yo, I'm doing a live video right now. Let me call you back, all right? All right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right? So that's what it is, right? So they wound up splitting the yard to prevent that. So when they split the yard to prevent that, they did that, so now they only let the left side out to the rec yard at a time, and the right side wasn't allowed to go. So the left side would come out to go to the yard, and the right side would come out to go to the inside rec, chapel, weight room, psychology department, wherever you want to go. But both sides used to be able to just roam to go anywhere in the jail at one time. But from all the violence and people running up in the units that they didn't belong in, that's when they had to change all that. So now when they changed that, the left side would go to the yard one day, like in the morning, and then in the afternoon, the right side would go to the yard, and the left side would go to the inside rec. You know what I mean? Like the gym and all that. If they want to play basketball in the gym, or they want to sit down in the day room and play cards, chess, watch a sports game or video or whatever. So this is how they try to do it to contain us. But as they doing that, it just got so out of hand that we started hanging out. Like now when we walking down a walkway and we go into the inside rec, and you got the guys in the yard, you can't see your homies that live on the other side of the jail unless you're in the yard. So while you're in the yard, they come walking out, they go on the inside rec, and we in the yard, and they stop at the fence, and we talk at the fence, we pass things through the fence, and we get our conversation on. We let them know such and such owe me some money in your unit. He think he getting away because he on the other side. I need you to punish this dude for me. You know what I mean? And we punish them. And that's the way it went. So that's why they split the yard. Now, to split the yard, they even took it a step further. They split the yard and had it where instead of the left side go to the yard at one time, or the right side go to the inside at one time, they would take one unit at a time. Each unit went like, 3A and 3B was next to each other. Then you had 4A, 4B, 5A, 5B, and so on and so on. And it move on up the ladder. So everything is on the two sides. So when they call that, and they call a rec move, everybody go outside, but they only let one unit now You know, one unit, like 3A and 3B would be the only ones allowed to go in the yard. So the other two units on your side of the joint, like the left side, they don't get to go out until after you come in, and they only give you like 45 minutes. So you get 45 minutes. By the time it's 10 minutes move to go out, 10-minute move to come in, you know, that's 20 minutes, so you only got 25 minutes in the yard, then you come in, then the next unit go out to the yard, and, you know, so on and so on. But that's how they did it because it got so violent and so crazy within the joint, right? Now, I'm going to give you one. Dude owed a dude some money, and he in the other side of jail, he figured nobody couldn't get to him. So now they had the kitchen workers. The kitchen workers, they was the ones that was allowed to go up both sides of the compound. So when they call, you know, recall for kitchen or, you know, work call for kitchen, when people is walking into the kitchen, you know, we'll walk from the kitchen down the wrong side of the walkway that we don't have no business going down to go in the unit to go punish the dudes in the unit that thought they would get away. So from all of that is what caused madness. Now check this out. They got 12 units, right? The way they used to do it is they'll feed one unit at a time. You got 10 minutes to go eat and get out the kitchen, and then everybody, when the whole kitchen is cleared, then you stand in the yard. When everybody's out the kitchen, then they'll call recall for that one unit. Everybody will go in their unit, then they call the next unit, and so on and so on. And it took all day to feed us. But they had to do that because they had to separate us because we was like gladiators. As we saw each other, we wanted blood. So if y'all want blood, feel free to go there. Cash App on the screen. You're getting the inside skinny right here. Make sure it says it was created in 2020, and there's no number 1 in my last name Hall. So it's H-A-L-L, not H-A-L, number 1, not H-A, number 1-L, none of that. All right, hit the logo, make sure it says created in 2020. So now you got everybody out there in the yard from that one unit, but you can't go back in no matter, and it was hot out there, like 120 degrees. You can't go back in that unit under no circumstances until everybody's done eating out the kitchen. Then the police said kitchen clear. When the kitchen clear, they call yard recall for that one unit that was eating. They go back in the unit. Then they call the next unit, and they do the same process. Now, what we're trying to do is we'll go around to the medical and act like, you know, we over at pill line, because, you know, everybody get their pills, their medication. So we go over pill line, and we hang out there until they close the move, you know, or the mail room, until they close the move. And then they brought the next unit in, and then we caught our man that we wanted to put the knife in and punish. You see how easy it is? We always found a way to manipulate the system to get blood, to get to our man that violated us. And that's the way that worked. So now, that's a split yard. Now, could you imagine coming from where they had no fences, where you was able to just walk out in the yard and be around 200 people, to now you stuck with like maybe 120 people tops. And these are the people you see every day, all day anyway. So if you want to punish them, you punish them in the unit. You ain't got to punish them in the yard, in the compound, in the kitchen, or around the other police. So that's the way they did it. They tried to contain the violence, to keep the violence where it's easy to contain. Because when we was in the yard 2,000 men at a time and the fight jumped off and the police ran out there, other races and other crews and groups and cars would get involved and start pushing a knife because the police get too close and get too violent, because they come out, they just trying to bust you in the head. All they see is inmates in a beige outfit. They don't care what color, what race you are. When they say get down, you get down. They got a tower in the middle of the yard. They got a rifle aimed at you, and they're busting their gun. Believe that. They're busting their gun, all right? So, you know, you're trying to avoid that. But that's what that is. So that's what you call a split yard. I don't want to be here all day. I just want to give y'all a little something so y'all understand what a split yard is. So if you want to go to prison, get a split yard where, you know, to go live, you know, for 5, 10, 20 years, where you can only eat with one unit at a time, feel free to do that, because the doors is always open. Cash App is on the screen. Follow me on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe. That's my Instagram on the screen right now. Follow me there. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed, all right? And definitely give me an emoji if you like the content. I just wanted to bring you all to the intricate runnings of the prison so you see how this thing go. And don't forget, you know, we be riding. All right, we be riding, man. So let me tap out real quick, let y'all know we out of here. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast to the crime, toast to the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust down. Now we on the positive, you we got a lot to give. Now you trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the rude men.